Rolling.
Got it. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. My name is Ian Edwards. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following. Thanks for liking and subscribing. This podcast is available on iTunes, Omni Studio, Spotify, at All Things Comedy, just everywhere. And you can also watch our handsome ass faces on YouTube. And after the podcast, leave comments. We got a lot of faithful fans. We appreciate you for always watching and listening. And the podcast is sponsored by OnTheVolleyApparel.com. You go to OnTheVolleyApparel.com, use the promo code ComicRant. You can get 20% off our discount for anything there. And we also have our own line of Soccer Comic Rant t-shirts there. And let me introduce the people we have right now. Martin will probably join us later, but we have Lee Hudson, stand-up comic in England right now, Southampton fan, and we're going to hear from him about, he went to a Southampton preseason game, and we got Neil Chakravarty, stand-up comic, San Diego by way of India, and Chelsea fan, and his top of his shirt, I can read, it says chaos, and that's exactly what's going on with Chelsea right now, minus the trophies. There is no trophies. This is just full chaos. And you already know my name. So let's just get into, what's going on. Like, I feel like, every week things change. Like last week, when we got off the podcast, or even when the season ended, it was just going to be top two, Liverpool or Man City, in whatever order you want to put them in. Chelsea was going to be third, and then Man U, Spurs, and Arsenal were going to be fighting for the fourth spot. But after Chelsea's preseason results and Tuchel's post-conference after the 4-0 loss to Arsenal, I don't even have Chelsea in the top four anymore. They're fighting with Manchester United for a Europa League spot. And, Neil, how do you feel about the state of Chelsea?
I mean, it's an odd one, right? Like, because at the end of the day, it is preseason. I remember Jose Mourinho, he had this famous quote, I think it's the 15-16 season, we lost badly to Red Bull, the New York team. And he said, well, yeah, preseason. And he goes something like, well, preseason is fake. If you do good, it's fake. If you do bad, it's fake. So, but then it actually was pretty bang on, because we finished 10th that season and Mourinho got sacked in the middle of the season. But I mean,
that just proves that the real season is definitely real. So that's what that.
I think the result doesn't really bother me a lot, because we were experimenting with the back four after a long time. We played a back four with a couple of players who actually, if we really want to play back four this season, we will need them. So it was a lot of experimentation, but I think overall the fact is that it's been 3 preseason games. I don't think we've played really particularly well in any of them. So, and there's just now one more game versus Udinese when you come back to London, and then the Premier League season starts. So it's just that I feel like we've, forget the results, I think we've wasted some valuable game time trying things that we are actually not gonna use in the, like, even players. Like, we've given minutes to people like Ross Barkley, Michy Batshuayi, Kennedy, who I don't really think have a future at Chelsea. Even folks like Alonso and Azpilicueta, there's been so many rumors of them leaving. Like, Tuchel has come out after the game saying, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there. He's questioned the mental commitment of certain players. Certain players who are looking to move, who are who might move, and I I guess my point to that is like he hasn't helped himself by giving minutes to people who we know do not have a future at this club. So you can't do that and then also go and complain about the commitment of certain players who are probably not going to be here this season because you actually put them on the line.
Can I ask you a question? Did he play them to see if he could use them? And just
No,
the fact that
there's nothing more to see about Michy Batshuayi. Like
I know
sorry,
that,
like it's been too long.
but I feel like you have a bunch of Michy Batshuayis on your team.
Yeah, exactly. We have a whole lot of deadwood from
Barkley is a Michy Batshuayi.
It's like we've had four managers in 5 seasons.
I think Hudson Odoi is a version of Michy Batshuayi. Like,
but Hudson Odoi, at least like Tuchel believes in him. So
But you used to believe in him. You used to tell me.
I believe in him. I still believe in him.
I don't see it, bro. Like, and I've given it time.
I think like Hudson Odoi, he's been very unlucky with injuries, and the way his game is, like with pace and dribbling, the kind of injuries he's had, it takes time, and we've had
how much time? You've been saying this for like 3 years.
No, but because he's had recurring stuff, like even last season, he missed the back end of the season last couple of months. Apparently, the entire season he'd been playing with some sort of an issue with the nerve in the leg, which kind of like.
Can I just say something? Reece James gets injured a lot, but when he plays, I see it. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's also about the nature of injuries. Chilwell, actually, I'm worried about because Chilwell had again, he had a long-term injury. Hudson had a long-term injury. Ruben Loftus-Cheek had a long-term injury. So, but my point is, like, when it comes to deadwood, there are certain players, like even Emerson, for example. I really don't know what's the point of having Emerson on this tour. Like
Emerson plays left wing back.
He plays, but Tuchel never likes him at left wing back. He's used him as left back in this preseason, or as a left-sided centre back. So I don't think the planning has been good. Like we knew at the end of last season that we're probably looking at 10 players incoming. Maybe half of them come from the academy, half from new transfers. But we've only got 2 transfers in, and it's like the season is almost upon us now. So
can I just say something? Like, you've always been dooming and glooming Chelsea. And I've always been like, man, you just like a panicker. But now I see like what's going on. Like,
also like all the doom and gloom you speak about, like it's accumulative, right? So what we're seeing right now is stuff, pile up of all the stuff that we accumulated last couple of seasons.
You're like what do they call the people who the climate change people?
It's coming.
You've seen it way in advance. You warned politicians, like, shut up. We're fine. And now the ozone has been destroyed.
And now there's like wedding parties in Hawaii getting ruined because of this. So.
Yeah, your team is in super bad trouble. You know what I mean? Like me and Martin, we're going to talk about this later. We went to see Real Madrid versus Barcelona, El Clasico in Vegas. But I'm watching multiple Chelsea players on the field for both teams. There was so many Chelsea players that played. They're on better teams. That means if they'd have played for you still, they would have enhanced you, and they're gone. And then there's so many other Chelsea players I can think about playing in different leagues that have won titles, and even Tammy just won something, and you don't have a better goal scorer than Tammy. And you guys are allergic to academy players, apparently, at least the right ones.
And the crazy thing is the academy we have is probably the only competitive advantage we have in this current day scenario. Like, we don't have a lot of advantages over other teams. The academy is probably the only competitive advantage we have, and we've successively, like year over year, tried to make sure we don't have that advantage. Like, the one thing that's actually good, like we try our best to not use that advantage.
Well, I don't feel bad for you. I think you're going to finish 5th or 6th, and I don't even know if Tuchel's going to make it to the end of the season. And you don't have no director. You have a director of football yet?
No, we have the owner doubling up as the interim director of football.
A guy that just got into football, who's a baseball guy, like losing deals left and forth. Like, so how do you feel about losing? So not only did we see the players that you lost or sold to Real Madrid and Barcelona, we saw a player that got hijacked from you play for Barcelona. So we saw Raphina, the guy that you wanted, score for Barcelona, the winning goal against Real Madrid in El Clasico. So that got hijacked. And before we came on today,
Jules
Koundé just got hijacked. It's not really you guys' fault or Todd's fault. He wanted to go to Barcelona for less money. And I don't see what football club is selling somebody for less money to a club with monopoly money in a league that they're in the league competition with or for. It's like, why wouldn't you take Sevilla, just take the most money from Chelsea, even though the player wants to go there? So, like, how do you feel about that, and explain that?
I mean, the whole Raphina
thing. And Lee,
like,
just jump in on the assassin of Neil at any point that you want to, because now I really understand what he was going through, and the world is ending, and he was right.
I think the Raphina thing, right? First, it's a player that we wanted. Dude just wanted to play for Barcelona. Like, he's apparently, if reports are true, he's taking a pay cut from what he earned at Leeds United. I don't even know how that's mathematically possible. So if somebody is that, and like players, we know the culture in Latin America where Barcelona is worshipped almost. So
he idolizes Ronaldinho.
Right, like, so fair play to the guy, but also, like,
he wants to go party where Ronaldinho partied and ruined his career.
Right, but we played Leeds a couple of times. Like, we've seen him for a couple of seasons now. I know he's a good talent, but I didn't end last season thinking that a player of the caliber of Raphina, if we lose out on him, that the world is ending. So it's not somebody like who is absolutely world class, who's gonna make us bridge the gap from between to Man City and Liverpool right away. So I didn't really think much of it. Even like individually, if I analyze both the Koundé things and the Koundé situation and the Raphina situations in isolation, I don't really worry too much about them. I don't think these are players that are difference makers. I don't think they're like make or break. Maybe their profiles are. For example, for Koundé, we need a right-sided. If you want to continue playing 3 at the back, we probably need a right-sided centre back. We probably need somebody who can maybe even give cover at right back, with Koundé can. If you move into a 4 at the back and we want to give Reece a break here every now and then. But I don't think it just has to be that guy. Like, this is not, we're not talking about Eden Hazard in 2011. We're not talking about, Haaland in 2022. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal. What's worrying though is the pattern. The pattern is the problem. Like, when you it says something when you've lost, we did lose Christensen and Rudiger. They were with the club.
I know. I saw them play for different teams.
They became world class for the first time in their lives under this manager. Eventually we were okay with paying them what they wanted. They still chose to leave the club. So we lost those two. You want to talk about pull. You want to talk about retention capability of a club. So that those two happened, and now Raphina and Jules Koundé. So the pattern really worries me. These individual players, they don't really worry me that much. I think we've made some 2 great signings in Sterling and Koulibaly, based on what we actually needed. But yeah, I mean, let's see. Like, it's crazy. I don't even know what's going to happen. Like, people trying to make predictive lineups, and every day you have to rip up the paper because anything can happen from now on.
I think this is where.
Right.
I think this is where the lack of sporting director or director of football, whatever, comes in, because, like you say, Koulibaly and Sterling are two great signings, but it's only half a job in terms of what you need. And normally, like, if you lose out on someone like Raphina or someone like Koundé, if you have a sporting director, they already have like a short list and they've done the work on them for ages. So they know that, okay, we can't get Raphina, we'll get this guy. And they know instantly who that is. And the stuff can move a lot quicker. It just feels like it's all with a guy who doesn't, know football and know what he's sort of the world he's operating in. It feels like things moving slower than they perhaps would otherwise, with a more slicker operation in the back room there, which will take time. I mean, it's no one's fault that it's happened that way. It's a shame he fell out with Petr Cech and stuff over the Lukaku thing. Because if you had him and Granskova there, it probably would be moving quicker. But I guess it's.
But I will say this though: the recruitment record.
Not just say not necessarily, because it didn't move fast with Rudiger, and they lost Rudiger, and that was over a 1.5-year period.
Yeah.
I will say this: the previous regime, it's not like their resume is very rosy in terms of this exact specific thing. Like in fact, Jules Koundé should have already been a Chelsea player last season. We dilly-dallied on him because Sevilla kept saying that his release clause is 80 million. We, for some reason, as 80 million euros, we for some reason assumed that we have an agreement to get him for 55. Their president kept saying it's 80 million, and then the deal fell through in the last. So it's not been a very slick operation, the previous way of doing things either. So I don't know whether having a bad sporting director is better than having no sporting director at all. But I think
you need to make some hires there though.
Before, absolutely. Absolutely.
You need to make hires there and on the field. So it's it's a big job.
Hopefully, the people you try to hire don't get hijacked.
Yeah.
But listen, I like how you put it when you said that losing Raphina and Koundé doesn't necessarily kind of like hurt you as much in the way you described it, but it's just a compilation of that adds to a shit show. So when you add those things in to these results, to Tuchel's press conference, to the club being sold, to the owner doing deals in a space that he's not normally used to doing deals with, you're 5th or 6th. You're out of Europe. And, it's tough when your coach looks defeated, even though he, at the end of the press conference, said, this was just today's game. There's a good set of players in the locker room. And so I don't want you to think this or take this statement as an overall, and they have won the Champions League, and that is huge. But you guys are.
And I think it calms down though. Once the whatever happens, once the door is shut, once the transfer window shuts, I think the biggest problem with Tuchel right now is having to do too many things. He's also right now, because we don't have a sporting director, we don't have any of those other folks. He's also by default the main sporting face of any transfer decision. Like if you have to go convince a player to come to Chelsea, you can't now send Petr Cech on a flight. You can't send Marina on a flight, and you can't send Bruce Buck.
So Tuchel is like, yeah. I really want you to come play with me. Hold on 1 second. You guys make that Rondo tighter Rondo. Yeah. So we'll get you a flight.
Kennedy, tuck in.
Your wife. Listen, where do you want? Listen, I'm checking on your house. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, I'm checking on. Yeah, we're gonna get you a spot in a good part of. Hold on a second. Yeah. Did you hang up? Shit. Listen, I gotta call you. Hey man, let me get these cones. I'll call you back. Like, so he's
he's having to like fucking call Ryanair or some shit like that.
He's stretched.
He's stretched. So I think once everything calms down, he can actually get down to coaching, because that is what he's
the Premier League. He's an elite coach. Down.
But I think once he knows what he's working with, I think he's good with that. So if that means using Loftus-Cheek as a wing back for the whole season, I think he'll be comfortable making that work.
There is still a lot of quality in that squad, though. There's still a lot of good players. People forget. I know they've lost some, but there's still some very good players in that team.
Yeah, and I also think you're being too hard on Kennedy and Emerson too. I think like they stood out, and I think if like you said, Christensen and Rudiger became world class players under Tuchel, then I feel like Sarr and Chalobah, they're young, they're gonna make mistakes, but you got to give them the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the beginning of the season will probably be hard for them, and they're gonna make mistakes.
No, the only reason I'm mentioning Kennedy and Emerson is because
you don't like them.
No, it's under.
And they're Brazilian.
No,
and you hate Chelsea Brazilians.
No, I love the Emerson. Probably my favorite favorite centre back in the world right now. But the thing is, Tuchel himself, when he was the season where he took up after Lampard, he gave Emerson, I think, one start in the entire half of the season, and then some inconsequential match. And he gave, even this pre-season, he's never used Emerson as a left wing back. He's given him some minutes as a left-sided centre back or a left back. So he probably doesn't see him for that. Kennedy, again, we had a wing back crisis at Chelsea last season, second half of the season. We recalled him from loan from Brazil. He still never used him. And this pre-season, the gap that we see on left wing back, he's never used him. He's used him at right wing back. So I don't really see the kind of belief. Forget me. Like, I don't see Tuchel himself having that belief. So
can I bring up? Well, let me bring up two other problems, and one of them is not really a problem. So let me just say the one thing that I can't remember. He, in the press conference, and this is very important, he's like, it's tough to face a team that's firing on all cylinders when I have players that they can't match that intensity when they're trying to leave the club. So he's letting you know insider information. Like, so you have like major problems. And Tuchel, I don't know if it's, listen, he's like, Werner wants to go. Pulisic wants to go somewhere we can get starting time. And then Barcelona, who's already hijacked two of your transfers, is flying crows above your right back and your left back. Your captain, Aspilicueta, and Alonso, who's Brazilian, who you hate because he's not. He's not. So I mean Spanish, but you hate him because he looks Brazilian or something. I don't know why. but so that's to me. That's when he said that. I'm like, they're Conference League contenders. When he said that. So I just think you're in trouble. Lee, finish this. Like, what do you have? How do you feel about this league for Neil and for Chelsea?
Well, like I say, I still think they've got a lot of good players. They have got a lot of good players there, so they could. I mean, it's hard to predict which way it's going to go because it could go terribly. That Arsenal game wasn't a good omen at all. You don't want that to happen in pre-season. You can write it off as pre-season. You can read into it. I think it's a little bit of both, and I think Tuchel was almost using it as a way of, saying to Todd, like, we need to plug some of these gaps. But I think, we'll see what happens. It's not good if you're still piecing the team together as the season becomes a lot closer. Because like Neil was saying, Tuchel's going to be having to do all of his tactical coaching that you should be doing in pre-season. He's going to be having to treat the first few weeks of the season as pre-season almost, which isn't ideal. But there's, like I said, there's enough quality in that team to win games of football. Plus they're starting against Everton, who got absolutely smashed up by Minnesota the other day. So at least they've got an easy game to start with. Lampard will roll over for his old employers, maybe. I
mean, they're playing a championship team in their first game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I will say this, though, we lost to Everton just a few months back.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll beat them. But yeah, I mean, like I say, there's quality there already. Koulibaly and Sterling are quality. I think you'll add one or two at least before that first game. You've got Gallagher back from Palace. Yeah, there's a lot of good players there, and I don't think it will be the same way like Arsenal fans are getting carried away after hitting 4. I don't think they'll be quite as good once the season starts. I think they'll be better than they were last season. They've improved the team. Zinchenko's a quality signing as well to add to that, to what they've already got hold of. But I think, you should be. I don't think you'll be as close to the top 2 as last season, but I wouldn't say you'll be completely out of the top 4 race. But you're definitely slipped into that group with Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and Spurs. Maybe, possibly, depending on who you add. Though there's still a couple more signings to be made, I reckon. There,
Lee, that's why you got to kick him while he's down now, because next week it might all change and you'll lose the opportunity to stomp on Chelsea. So how dare you be optimistic? There is one optimistic thing that I did want to say about the result, is that you did hit the post and you did have some chances to score. It wasn't like you didn't have your opportunities to get some goals in to make the score smaller, but you also, or I also have to give Arsenal, just since we're talking about Chelsea and their last game was against Arsenal, from my opinion, Edu and Arteta, who were laughing stocks at the beginning of last season, have continued to turn this thing around and add players. And then I was listening to somebody, they have a lot of people with prominent channels come on to talk sports. So they had this kid, I forgot his name, but he's an Arsenal fan, and he was killing Arteta and was drawing a line in the sand of where he needed Arsenal to finish this season or else Arteta should go. But the guy on the radio was very competent. He's like, listen, and he talked about all the things Arteta has had to deal with since becoming manager, because sometimes fans just want the turnaround instantly. But it's Arteta had to get rid of so much deadwood and heavy ass contracts. And then you have to find the players while you're playing games and bring up new players. And it's just a whole thing. And it's sometimes, especially Arsenal fans and Manchester United fans, we live in the 90s and the early 2000s. Not me specifically, even though I enjoyed those days, I understand how cyclical football is, but there's these people, they do not want to live out of the world that they were brought into to being a fan of that team. And Arsenal was at the pinnacle of football or near the top in their minds. So it's just devastating to them emotionally for Arsenal to be where it's at now. Finishing 5th is unacceptable to them. So they're talking about getting rid of Arteta if he doesn't deliver this year, but ignoring the whole process, ignoring the fact that he won an FA Cup, ignoring the fact that he's got this bunch of young, hopeful players that, some of them are playing for England now. And so I think Arteta's doing a good job. And if you let him continue to do it, Arsenal will be contenders for years to come. He's doing it with boys right now. And so I feel like they'll be good. What do you have to, how you feel about Arsenal's progress, Lee? Do you think Arsenal should be under threat? I mean, Arteta should be under threat to be fired.
Only if he goes backwards. I think he's raising expectations by making them a better team. That's the double-edged sword of doing well, is that expectations start going back up. And I think people might have been slightly disappointed with the way they sort of fell off a little bit towards the end of last season. It sort of kind of ended on a bit of a damp note because they looked like they were going to snatch that 4th place, and then it all sort of fell apart a little bit. So they didn't finish on a massive high, but I think at the start of the season, before a ball was kicked, they would have taken fifth place in the league. So it was still a good season, and you could see the progression of the sort of style of play. They're becoming a lot more effective, and like I said, I think the players they've added have really improved them as well. Zinchenko hasn't played yet, but he's a great player. He'll give them something. Jesus has looked sharp in the games he's played. The little chip for the finish past Mendy was world class the other day. So he's looking good. Vieira still, the guy they got from Porto will be good. I think they maybe possibly need to add one more player still. But Saliba, who's come back from Marseille, the guy who's been loaned out for the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's back and looking like he's ready to command a place in that team, which I think Arsenal fans have been waiting for that because they thought maybe he should have been in there last season, but he got loaned out again. So I think the pressure on Arteta is just because he's done well now, so it's raised the stakes a little bit. But I think it's hard because there's outside of Liverpool, Man City, there's 2 spaces for the Champions League, and there's 4 teams, in my opinion, that are going to fight for it. So someone's going to lose out there, or 2 teams are going to lose out there, and it depends on whose expectations are sort of realistic enough. Because I think with the money they've spent, Spurs will obviously be expected to finish in there. United will probably go a little bit more under the radar because it's a new manager and it was so spectacularly bad last season. But you know, I think they're sort of going a little bit under the radar because there's a lot of positive things happening there, but it's still too early to tell. Yeah, it's too early to tell. But it's moving. It looks like it's moving in the right direction. There's a lot of the noises coming out of there that are looking positive. So, but yeah, so Arsenal, I think top 6. If they're out the top 6, then he should definitely lose his job because that's a failure if they go backwards. Yeah. But I think there is a realistic chance that, depending on what other teams do and what they do, they could still finish 6th in that league, which would be going backwards by 1 place. But I don't think that'd be criminal to finish behind those teams if they have good seasons, because I think there's a lot of teams in there that are roughly around the same level.
Yeah. You went to what preseason Southampton game did you go to this weekend?
We played Watford, which was an interesting game. It was because Watford's stadium is being it's still having the pitch fixed because they've had concerts, I think, on there in the summer and stuff. So we played them at a 5th division ground, a team called Wealdstone FC. It's a friendly little ground. I've been there before as a scout to watch games in that level, but it was quite strange watching 2, like a Premier League team and a Championship team play there. And Watford, you know, to all intents and purposes, were still fielding a team of Premier League players. They had good players in that team, like João Pedro was up front with Emmanuel Dennis as well. They had like a 3-4-3 system going on with those guys in there. All our new signings played, which was interesting to have a look at them.
How many new signings you got now?
A few. We signed another guy today his work permit got confirmed today. We signed a French under 21 striker from Bordeaux, and everything I've seen of him and heard of him looks really good. And we've got him because Bordeaux have got financial issues, so we've managed to get him when we probably shouldn't have been able to get him, which is quite nice. So hopefully he's good. But we're signing young players. I think the strategy is quite clear that we're signing young players to try and resell.
Are they too young? Are they too young to help y'all?
Time will tell. I mean, some of them are like some of them are teenagers. But I mean, the goalkeeper we got, Bazunu, he was really interesting at the weekend. He plays like an extra centre back in the build up because we're playing with a back 3, but the fullback or the left and right centre backs of the back 3 would go really wide, and he would step in with the ball alongside the other centre back to make a back 4. But it gives you an extra player ahead of the ball because the goalkeeper's playing like a centre back. If it goes bad, I think it's going to go really bad. Yeah. If it goes bad, it'll go really bad. But he was so good on the ball. He was really composed. He was like an outfield player. He was finding passes and getting out of trouble. He came close to getting tackled a couple of times, but he seems super composed. But he's like 20 years old. He's Republic of Ireland's number 1. So he's looking good. Bella Kotchap, the German or French-German centre-back we signed from Bochum in the Bundesliga. He looked really good. Good on the ball, very physically commanding as well. He's like 6'3". But I think he's one of the slightly older of the signings. Like I say older, he's like 22, 23.
He's
but yeah, he looked
man.
good.
He's ready to
Joe
retire.
Arabo, who we signed from Rangers, he looked lively. But the game finished 0-0. It was just the lack of finish. But hopefully the French under 21 striker we signed can give us something there. But it was interesting because I was stood behind the dugouts, and because it's such a small ground, you could hear every word the managers and coaches were saying.
Oh, yeah.
And Ralph Hasenhuttl, he didn't say a single word in the first half. He just watched. It's like he sent them out there with a game plan. He's like, right, I'm not gonna say anything and see how you guys do. And the first half, like I said, it was average. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was just meh. But second half, he was a lot more vocal. You could hear him encouraging the players and giving all these little bits of information. So he obviously decided to try and give them a bit more in the second half. But we looked better in the second half, but still not quite there. But it showed that we're getting more serious because we only made like 4 changes, 2 sort of just after breaking then 2 further in the half. So it looks like we're going to start the season with that system, which is interesting, which is like a wing back system, 2 forwards, 3 in midfield, 3 centre backs. Kyle Walker-Peters as a right wing back was phenomenal. He's our best player at the moment, I would say.
Or he's trying to get out of there.
Potentially, yeah. Spurs may be looking to buy back, but I don't think they will now they've signed Jed Spence.
Okay.
His contract still goes till 2025. They're saying that he might want to leave because he's not signed a new thing yet, but he's still got like a fair amount of time to go on that. So
is Livramento still injured?
Yeah, I mean he had the ACL.
Yeah,
which
that's a tough one. Yeah.
That'll fuck you up for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, I mean we'll be lucky if we see him at all this season. Maybe towards the back end of the season if his rehab goes really well, but that's a big ask. Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him. But what did worry me was we're still playing. It looks like Gineppo is our first choice left wing back, which does not work. The guy can't defend. He's also not got a left foot at all. We're playing him as a wing back on the left, and he's right-footed, so he gets the ball and he cuts inside. And occasionally he did some okay stuff, but it's too predictable for the defense because no one, as a wing back, nobody's overlapping.
Right.
So he's just coming in and running into like a whole group of players. So I need to try and find out what's happening with Roman Perro, who was our left back last season, because he had a really good left-footed delivery, but he wasn't even in the squad for the weekend. So I don't know if he was injured.
Who's your 2 up the front?
We started with Stuart Armstrong, who's like an attacking midfielder or forward, and Adam Armstrong. We went both the Armstrongs.
Both 2 arms. You went full Armstrong.
Yeah, Stuart Armstrong was great because he would drop in deeper, get on the ball, and play balls through. Adam Armstrong was lively, but he didn't look like scoring. And then Shea Adams came on for the second half.
How was he?
And he was a bit more sort of lively. He was a bit more aggressive. He got on the end of stuff in the box a bit more, but again, he didn't really finish. So we're looking a little bit like goals might be the issue, which, like I say, hopefully this French under-21 will fix because he looks really good from what I've seen of him. He's quick. He's a really accurate finisher. Everything he hits is like low into the corners. He's been scoring.
See him? Did he play, or you watch footage online?
I've watched footage, but there's enough that it's not one of those ones where there's only 3 goals and they show you 20 replays of each goal. Like there's an actual variety to stuff on there, and he's scoring, some good goals, different types of goals. He's setting stuff up as well. So he could be, it'd be interesting to see whether he comes straight in or if they try and phase him in slowly. But we need something because we're we're going to struggle if we're not scoring goals. I mean, the build up was quite nice, like I say, with the goalkeeper joining in, but then as soon as it got to the final part of the pitch, we didn't really have anything.
All right. That's a good summary of how Southampton is going to do the season. It feels like based on everything you're saying, and you just said it last, that the goal situation is going to be the problem.
Yeah, I think so.
It feels like it because you lost Broja. Where did Broja go?
Back to Chelsea. West Ham were interested.
Are you sure he went back to Chelsea?
Broja, actually, that's one of the unfortunate things of this preseason, that he picked up a knock just before the first preseason game. So we never actually got to see him. We haven't seen him yet. And then there's all the contract, and West Ham's been pushing really hard to get him. But
they signed
West Ham. Yeah,
Kamaka.
Yeah, they signed Shamacha from Sassuolo. So he's their target man now. So with him and Antonio, they won't need Broja.
Right.
Yeah.
But apparently Newcastle and somebody else are apparently looking at him still too.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even believe that you're even contemplating letting him go, because we don't have a number 9. Like, somebody needs to wake up and realize that at Chelsea, that we have a Timo Werner who's never been used as a striker under Tuchel, and anyway apparently wants to leave. He's one of those people Tuchel was hinting at in that press conference.
Yeah.
Is him and Ziyech. And so Lukaku's gone. Havertz is a work in progress into even becoming a number 9. So we don't have any number 9s. So how would we even consider letting go of the one that we have. It's just madness that this was even a serious discussion. Like somebody at the club even seriously considered. Like I don't know in 10 days if you're going to be able to. Who are we even going to get? Lewandowski is gone. Kane, no. Lukaku, yeah.
I know a guy.
Ronaldo, apparently we passed up on him.
But sometimes when you pass up on someone, that you reflect on a mistake, and there's a phone number that you use to pass up on
here's
it.
The crazy thing, though. Here's the crazy thing, though. I don't
accept him.
Here's the crazy thing, though. Like, so this is the number 9 situation at Chelsea, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've apparently passed up on both Ronaldo and Gabriel Jesus. Like Jesus was ready to come to us first, but we said no, and then he went to Arsenal. So there's apparently either Tuchel is happy with who he has, or there is some mystery left field striker who there's some work happening in the background, because like as I said, all the usual suspects are gone. Like there's nobody who we can think of.
The usual suspects are not gone. Ronaldo is still available, and so
I think Rafael Leao at AC Milan. He's not the conventional number 9, but he's probably
had a very good season.
Oh, that means he'll fit right in, because none of your number 9s are conventional number 9s. So perfect.
Tuchel apparently is looking for somebody who's not that conventional. But again, he is at a club that's going to make it very tough to sell him. And the price is probably going to be insane, like 100 million or something. So again, not a slam dunk. Like we're barely being able to make easy deals happen. So I don't know what's going on. I think we should just stick to Havertz and Broja, if it is what it is, right? Like
so many of the proven or semi-proven number 9s have moved now already this summer.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's not much out there. Like say Lewandowski, Haaland, Nunes.
Again, guys, there is one. I feel like I'm being
ignored. But you're saying this, but like I'm dismissing it. But I also have a sneaky feeling if it gets really desperate. You saw Tuchel was pulling his non-existent hair out. Like might.
You're desperate. You're desperate.
Yeah, it might happen. Like we're desperate. Ronaldo's desperate.
Yeah.
It might happen.
Desperate people, man, for one season.
I think if Ronaldo can just bottle his ego and realize that he's not gonna be at the age of what? Is he like 37 already now?
Let me ask you a question.
If he's okay with being a backup, be 38.
But he doesn't. I think he's. Why does he need to be a backup? You don't have a 9. Let me ask you.
No, but he doesn't suit us the way we want to play most of the time.
Well, and what do you need most of the time?
I think we need somebody whose movement is very fluid, can go back, move across the front 3, and obviously the dream is that the same person can also score. Like there's a reason why it didn't work out with Lukaku. Like the profile wasn't correct for, and obviously we also had some issues that we couldn't play the exact way we want to play. But I think Ronaldo is going to be great. Like if he comes, but I don't think he's going to be great all the time. So
it's better than nothing.
He should realize at some point it's gonna dry up, right? Like he can't be 50 and still expect to be the top guy at a big club.
He didn't become Ronaldo by thinking that way. So he ain't gonna. He's not gonna stay Ronaldo thinking that way.
No, but look at Zlatan, right? Like Zlatan's taken up a lower profile role.
I think injuries made Zlatan realize that, and then as big as Zlatan's ego is, it's never been as big as Ronaldo's. Like that's quite
a take.
Yeah, but it is true.
Like Zlatan literally thinks he is Christ the Redeemer. He did that whole.
Yeah, but yeah, Zlatan thinks he's Christ, but Ronaldo thinks he impregnated the Virgin Mary. So it's a different level.
Let's hope she consented.
There's a reason why he wasn't on the preseason tour to Las Vegas.
Yeah. I guess I'll talk about Manchester United a little bit, and then I'll go to Leeds. Just remind me, I want to hear about the Women's Euros. England's in the semifinals. I want to know if the vibe is out there, and how's that affecting the country. I just want to talk about the Manchester United preseason tour. It went well for the most part, but then in the last game, the ghosts and the things that haunted us all last season showed up in the second half. And I think we were tired from all the intense training, but we also showed that lack of heart that popped up at the end of some of the games that cost us a lot of points. It showed up against like the toughest squad that we faced all preseason. Like if we completed the win with with Aston Villa and dominated in the second half, I would have been like, yes, we've turned the corner. But even though the game ended 2-2, the last kick of the game, Aston Villa, I don't know why I keep saying Spurs, Aston Villa equalized. Sometimes it's doing bad, like even as a comic, you always want to do good. But when you do bad, sometimes it helps you the most. So now, I think there were so many encouraging signs the entire tour that made the board want to invest in Ten Hag more and give him more of what he wants. This same result would make the board want to invest in it more, because the first part of the tour with all the success, we're like, yeah, let's give this guy some money because he's trained up the squad. And then in this last half of the last preseason game, it says, oh, he does need more investment because there is no depth. And if he can get the investment, then we can play our second halves like we play our first half. So that's the good thing about that. So hopefully there'll be some more incoming. I also want them to give players like Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage chances in the midfield. Like those are the only two people like from our second squad I can see that we could use. But you could see that when you watch the training footage for Manchester United from like the first set of rondos to the last set of rondos and the style of the rondos, you could see like Ten Hag has this progressive plan to take the rondos, like to make the rondos more intense. So we're at a different stage of rondos now in our training that'll help us achieve our ultimate style. And so that's pretty good. I don't know why, these players weren't like trained like this before. It's like we had professional coaches, but it's good and alarming at the same time. But I still think with the team we have, I would give us no more than 6. And I hope that the fans, and I said this last year, like this year is about developing our style. You know what I mean? And like getting used to a system. We're going to take some L's, and the only way to avoid those L's is to get some of those L's or get some points that we would lose, like we did last season, is to get some players in. Now, Ten Hag as a coach, he's handled himself well. He's kind of between a rock and a hard place. That's not exactly the terminology, but he's done the best he could with the players that he had available to go on the preseason tour with. He's coached them up. Now there's some external factors like Ronaldo and the Frankie de Jong situations. They're like shit you didn't expect. They're like hurricanes in Miami that hit the shore when it's not even hurricane season. Like the two things with those players, he has no control over. Even the board has no control over them. Like the board messed up, and this is not the board that brought Ronaldo to United. Murtaugh was there, yes, but I don't know how much influence or how much he played in getting Ronaldo last season to United. But now Ronaldo wants out after he said he was going to stay, and now we have to deal with that situation. So that's a tough thing for a brand new coach who's never coached this caliber of a team to deal with. So it also help him in the long run if it gets all handled right. So it's a test, that takes his mind off the on-field matters. And then we have the De Jong situation.
Ian, sorry to disturb you. I gotta go.
You got to go. All right.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
It's a good thing I went in on Chelsea first.
No, I was just going to say on Ten Hag, I think Lee went over all the managers that, the pressure on the other guys. I think among all those six, I think Ten Hag's the guy, who has the least pressure. Like he kind of has a free pass this season. Like everybody else is kind of at the edge, like Conte, Arteta in his fourth season. Tuchel obviously has to make top four. So I think it's going to be just sit back and relax, United fans. Like just enjoy the season.
They won't. That's impossible.
All right, guys.
All right,
see you around.
Peace. Remember, embrace the chaos
and the trophies. This is, by the way, the jersey. This is one of the shirts I won at the Chelsea trivia night at in Vegas.
Oh, so you Chelsea knowledge everybody to win it?
I acknowledge all the white guys from England.
All the drunk white guys.
all the Fulham Road guys, yeah.
You must feel good. I would too.
All right, guys. See ya.
All right, peace.
Bye.
How dare he leave while I'm talking about Manchester United? Son of a bitch. Did that on purpose. So, it's just a weird thing. I was talking about Frankie de Jong, like the board has done whatever they could to back the coach, and the offer's on the table. It's a good offer. They're not lowballing. And it's because of I'm going to use a word that a friend of mine uses when she describes people like Juan Laporta. He's a charlatan, and he's a charlatan, and he's basically put Frankie de Jong in a tough place. He's a young kid, and the kid wants to play for Barcelona. It's like, and I said some of this last week, he's like threatening to sell him, and if he doesn't want to go to Manchester United, then he has to take a pay cut. And they put this poor kid who's bust his ass for the team and who wants to stay there in this position. So either way, he put him in a position where only one Laporta could win. But like I said, Frankie, you should just leave that team. They have an immediate present future now, but Barcelona, financially, they're heading in Derby land. You know what I'm saying? They're heading in Derby County territory, the way they're dealing with money right now. So good luck with that. So that's how I feel about our preseason. What's up with Martin's not here yet. So tell me about the vibe in England right now with the women's Euros and England getting to the semifinals.
Yeah, it's pretty positive. It's been good for putting more eyes on the women's game here. It's people are watching it in bars and stuff, which is good. The game against Spain last week was a bit of a roller coaster, going 1-0 down and then equalising late on, take it to extra time, and scored the winner. It's quite a dramatic way to do it. I went to the group stage game against Norway where we won 8-0.
Oh shit!
Which is pretty crazy. So yeah, that was crazy to watch. It was down at Brighton Stadium, and just Norway are one of the sort of top 10 teams in the world. So to do that to them was unheard of. It was crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but it's the best generation of England players in a long time, and they're sort of riding that home spirit like the men did in the Euros last year. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they got Sweden tomorrow night, which will be a tough game because they've got some players who play for Arsenal, players who play for Chelsea, who are like the sort of top two teams in the Super League here. So it'll be a really tough game. I think England have probably a little bit more quality than Sweden, but it's one of those ones where on the night anything could happen. I hope England can do it because I think to get to the final would be, like I say, great for women's football in this country, just to bring even more attention on it. But if they go out in the semis, might be considered slightly an underachievement because I think there's been a lot of pressure heaped on them, but we'll see.
It was, do you think the success in the Euros will drive people towards the Super League in England, once the Euros is over and the league starts back again?
Possibly, because in the games I went to obviously the England-Norway game, and then the night after that, I went to Germany versus Spain at Brentford Stadium, and there was the crowds were so much younger than normal football games that you go to, like the sort of Premier League games. It was a lot more accessible. The tickets were cheaper. They'd invited lots of schools along as well, so it's a good. It was a different vibe to a Premier League game. A lot less aggression and alcohol around, which isn't a bad thing. It was just good for, it's good for, I think, people of any gender or age to just see that there's there's someone like me doing it. It just makes people realize what's possible, and even if it's only to the point where it encourages people to be active, whether or not they make it as a footballer. But it's good that girls have that professional pathway now, that they can see that they can do it for a living if they're really good at it. But hopefully the Super League is it's getting better year on year because clubs are putting more money into it now. So a few years ago, United didn't even have a team,
Right.
And then they put one together, so they're up there. They're sort of a upper mid-table team at the moment. United are definitely getting better, but it's City and Arsenal are the two best teams. Man City, sorry, not City. Chelsea and Arsenal are probably the two top teams for me, and then City are sort of just behind them, and then United are in that next group below that. But it's interesting, and I've coached in the women's game before as well.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that there's quality players, and it's compared to where it was like sort of maybe a decade ago, the technical levels have gone way up, the physical levels have gone way up. So it's very watchable, and hopefully that continues.
Who are the stars on the English team, and what positions they play?
A lot of the forward players are really good. So there's a winger called Lauren Hemp who plays for Man City. Who's very good. Another midfielder, Georgia Stanway, who just left City to go to Bayern, I think. He's a very good player. Frank Kirby at Chelsea. There's a right back called Lucy Bronze, who's very attacking. Who's very good. So it's it's an interesting group of players. And like I say, they're players that have come through a coaching system that got changed by the FA over the last few years to put more focus on it, because before it was quite neglected. So it's good. We've got to try and catch up to nations like the US, where there's been a big culture of women's soccer for decades.
All right. That's cool. I'll try to watch the game tomorrow. I got some work to do, but I'll check what time it comes on. Like I would normally watch the Euros, and it's a good thing to have on because there's no World Cup, and we would be watching the World Cup right now. But for some reason, I just didn't get to it. So I'll start now, because I normally watch every women's tournament, but for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I'm on it tomorrow. I'll make time.
I think it'll kick off midday for you.
I'm supposed to shoot some roommate sketches tomorrow, so I'll watch it after. Like I'll make sure I watch it after. I put the thing on my YouTube TV tab to save the game, so I can have they're in my YouTube TV DVR. So I'll do that. Let me see how much time we got left. We could get off at 6. I just want to talk about going to see. So it's you're living in America. You get to see all the games on TV. You get to see all the names on TV, but you don't get to see them in person. So going to see Real Madrid versus Barcelona is like a 2-for-1. You have the biggest names from the entire La Liga, the two biggest teams playing in a Clasico, even though it's a preseason game. And the beauty of it was they acted like it was a La Liga game. The intensity was there. And then the fans, knowing that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the fans brought their A game. And we stayed me and Martin drove up there Saturday morning, 4-hour drive, left the house wanted to leave 9, left around 9:30, got there in 4 hours, sleepy as hell because I performed the night before. And then I woke up I got home after 12, and then I was supposed to go to sleep and I didn't. And I just stayed up till 2:45 a.m. and watched the Aston Villa versus Man United preseason game. Then I slept for 3 hours and then woke up and then got ready, picked up Martin, boom, and headed out. And then I also didn't book the hotel yet. I put a feeler out to the guy who runs the Laugh Factory in Vegas, which is at the Tropicana, which is like one of the first hotels when you hit the strip, and which is a great advantage because it's near the arena and you could walk. And he was like, yeah, he said, Harry Basil, he helped me get a room at the Tropicana. Shout out to the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana. He was like, he's seen the Rolling Stones at that arena, and you could just take the monorail across the street, take the monorail from the MG Grand to Mandalay Bay, and boom, you just walk out the back of the Mandalay Bay and walk to the Raiders Stadium. What we did, we parked at the Tropicana, checked in, went and grabbed some food, came back, took a quick nap, and then left the hotel like 6. The game was at 8. And then we just walked with an entire crowd of Real Madrid / Barcelona fans to the stadium. And then there was this big club there, this Real Madrid Chicago club, that they were all walking together. They had their banners. And I got multiple videos of that club chanting, Puta Barca, hey, hey, Puta Barca. And then other Barcelona clubs chanting it back with their family and their kids. So it's just the walk to the stadium was kind of lit to like be among so much fans, but like in a banter, but peaceful way, peaceful fun, like the most fun, peaceful cursing. Nobody got upset. It's like, this is an opportunity that I have a good day, and everybody took it. And then to enter the stadium, which is brand new, I think they only had like 1 season of Raider football, and to go see real football in an American football stadium, that was dope. And we went to the stadium, and we was there like an hour early, and we just get to walk around the stadium, took some pictures, and got in our seats. Well, we were so early, we were in the wrong seats for half an hour. And it's when I told Martin, I got to go to the bathroom, right? We were in section 317. I said, Martin, I got to go to the bathroom half an hour before the game started. And then I went to the bathroom. When I came back, I accidentally went to the actual seat I was supposed to be in, and Martin wasn't there. I said, this is a completely different section. So then now I'm texting Martin and hitting him on Facebook chat that, hey, you're in the wrong section. Come find me. I called him. He didn't answer. But then 15 minutes later, he joined me, and the game still hadn't started. That's how early we were. So then he got the messages and came over. Then we just watched a very pretty intense, like legit game. And like, even though, let me just talk about the price of the tickets. It's almost embarrassing to, I don't know what's my, this tickets were like $252 a piece, right? But that ain't nothing, bro. What was, so when you're buying it at like SeatGeek, you know, there's always a sneaky charge, but they're gonna hit you with a sneaky charge after you have the price that you're like, all right, listen, I decided we doing this. He decided we're doing this, so we doing it. And so when they said 250 something, and that was between going back and forth between Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, and StubHub. All right, we're doing section 317 for 252. And then when they give you the total at the end, and you're like, why is this so much more than the more that it already was? And then you see fees, and the fee said $86. 2 times.
They justify that.
$86 too. So let me ask you, is this a processing fee? Like, what are they processing? You're gonna send me a ticket to my phone. Like, what are you, what is this fee that is the price of an actual ticket 10 years ago? Like $86 is what you would pay to go see anything, and it would still have been considered high 5-10 years ago. And now that's just a fee added onto a $252 ticket. That shit was crazy. So I was like, fuck it. Yeah, we're going. Like, I'm still going to see players that I've seen on TV. Lewandowski might start. It's just everybody's there. It's like, fuck it. It's like the Coachella of football. Just get the ticket and go see everybody. So we're in the stadium, the game starts, and we were in the pre-nosebleed seats. Like somebody texted me when I posted a photo, and it was like, you should be in a better seat than that. But you know what I like about pre-nosebleed seats? You have the human television view of the game. You know what I mean? Like, I remember going to a basketball game to see the Nets, and back then, trying to remember his name. He was a guard for the Nets, and the Nets had gone to the NBA Finals twice, but they'd lost. But the 2 seasons they'd gone, the MVP was their point guard. And I can't remember his name right now. I'm gonna look it up. But it's the only 2 times that the Nets have been, since Dr. J, I guess, to the NBA Finals, and they lost both times. But their point guard was the MVP, and I thought he was overrated. I thought they were better players in the league. But then they came to LA to play the Lakers or the Clippers. I can't remember. So I went to the Staples Center. That was the name of it at the time. And we had nosebleed to pre-nosebleed seats. But again, you get the TV view of the court. And I did not rate this guy. But I could see from the God view of the cheap seats how he ran the entire team. From just, you look down, you see where everybody's at, you see what his options are, and you see what he made out of his options. And I was like, oh shit, I was wrong. This motherfucker is the MVP. So we had that view of this game. And
also, however it looks in a picture, like it's closer when you're there as well.
Yeah.
So however it appeared on your picture, like it to the eye, like when you're there, it seems closer.
Yeah, people just always be talking shit. They always be picking at shit. So it's like, listen, man, I'm at the game, bro. Like I paid behind the I paid behind the coach prices for where the birds perch seats. It's just it's expensive. That's just what it is. So, but it was a beautiful game, and I would just say, not to talk your ear off too much, like the people that stood out. Modric did not play the first half, but when he came on, you're like, oh, I get it. I always got Modric. It's not like I never got Modric. But to see him live and be like, yeah, this is different, like completely different. This is one of the best to ever fucking do it. Like, he's on that level. Rahul for Barcelona, like, I've been watching him all last season, legit, goddamn legit. Milito, the curse of Milito continues. Since I told you he's one of the best defenders in the world, he gave up the goal and made the bad pass that Raphina scored. And that was the only goal of the game. But Raphina looked like he belonged on Barcelona. Like Neil was just saying, he didn't really rate Raphina like that at Leeds. He's good for Leeds, but I didn't think he was a Barcelona caliber player. But he scored the goal. That was a legit goal. Courtois was on fire, and he had a great game, and he made some great one-on-one saves. But there's no way him or 2 of him could have saved that goal. It was pure fire. Who else? The rumors about, it's not even a rumor. One Laporte said something about they got to talk to Frankie de Jong and they're going to change his position. And it's almost like you're trying to make him miserable. So they put him so he played at center back.
Yeah.
But that just made me, the way he played at center back, those few touches made me like, oh shit, we really need to get this guy. He could play midfield and center back. And the way he played center back, I'm like, we have to wait the situation out to get this player. So hopefully we'll eventually get him. He was dope. Memphis Depay, I would take him back in a minute. Class. Like, there's no space out there, and this motherfucker made space. There was a goal he possibly could have scored, but that's Memphis Depay. Sometimes he's going to show off and try to show you how good he is and blow chances. But that's better than not being able to create chances at all. He is pure class. And he could, with a Dutch coach, If we get him for $20 million, I would take him. We need a forward if Ronaldo's going to leave. So I would, and there's just a playmaker, period. And if listen, I don't think it's his mentality to be a hard worker. But if one day somebody could turn this guy into a hard worker, you won't be able to touch him. Other players, Dembele did good when he came on. He's the real deal. I was, ever since, he's a real deal. He's a mathematician when it comes to passing out right on the wing. Like he'll come up with a formula to get the ball in there to someone, and he can create shots for himself. We were kind of laughing at Hazard because I heard an interview by him before the game on the way up there, and ESPN interviewed him, and they asked him like about his preparation for the season now that his ankle is healed and he could be able to play. And they said, well, did you do any special preparation knowing that you haven't played much in the last few years? And he said, yeah, I just went on vacation and did some walking on the beach. And this is how out of shape Hazard is. We could see from our cheap seats how out of shape Hazard was from where we were sitting. But at the same time, you could tell that he has the gift. And it's like, God, just work out. Just you only got a few more seasons left. Just put everything into it. But you could tell he's not going to put everything into it. I think Ancelotti wants to kind of use him as a backup false nine, but also today, he said that before the game, but also today I saw that Real Madrid is looking to buy someone. So I guess they have accepted that this guy, he don't care like that. He got a Eastern European cab driver mentality. Like he just want to smoke, and he don't mind. He's just like, it's an easy job. I'm just here. I'm going to survive and have some money regardless. I don't know. And he was just surviving on pure talent when he was at Chelsea. And
what did you think of Tchouaméni in the centre midfield, the big money buy?
Didn't really notice him.
Yeah.
Didn't really notice him. So I feel like the main guys like Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric, they're getting old, but the new guys can't touch them yet.
Yeah, not the same quality.
It's not the same quality. And I feel like they're going to, if they work hard, they might get there, but they have an entire ladder to climb to get to where these guys are. So that's where Barcelona has the advantage. Like you can see that their young guys can get to the level of.
Did you see much of Pedri and Gavi?
Yeah, but if we were too far to tell who was who, and I was trying to get my glasses fixed before I went up there, so I should have had my glasses fixed. I didn't get them fixed. I wear glasses, but I left them in the car. And
they should have given you free glasses for that ticket price.
They should have came with binoculars, like for those seats. You don't just have people up there and expect them to be able to see everything. So there was times Martin was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was about to ask you who's that." But we had to like keep checking the lineup, and especially when they changed everything over. And I'm sure I'm missing some people, but who else? Yeah, that was. I'm sure I'm missing some people, but yeah, that was pretty much it. It was a great game. Hey, they played with intensity. Nobody wants to lose El Clasico, even if it's in America in a Raiders football stadium. They still all went for it. And
yeah, it doesn't matter where you play that game and what's on the line. It's a Clasico's a Clasico.
Yeah.
And I heard the noise. Like I watched the game back, and the noise when Raphina hit that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell it meant something to the players and everyone in that stadium.
Yeah, and especially for him, like a new buy to his first goal for. I think, is this his first goal for Barcelona?
I think so.
To be in an El Clasico, like he's in.
No, I think he might have scored against Miami the other night.
Right. I think everybody scored. I think we scored against Miami. Yeah, everybody did. But yeah, it's a good. That's even though it's his second goal for Barcelona. It's his official goal, an announcement. That's his unveiling ceremony. That goal, like he scored in the El Clasico. And then the only other thing that was pretty hilarious, like Real Madrid got Shakira's back. And it might not have just been Real Madrid players, Real Madrid fans. Real Madrid fans have Shakira's back. And it might not just be Real Madrid fans. It might have been Barcelona fans. Every time Piqué touched the ball, the entire stadium booed him for cheating on Shakira. And because I was asking another friend who's a Real Madrid fan, why don't you like Piqué? And he's like, he's the Draymond Green of La Liga. And Draymond Green is a hated player who talks a lot of shit. He plays for the Warriors, and of course they're champions too. So yeah, he's that version. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I got to see everybody. And I'll probably like make a little mix of all the videos that I took, and then post it.
Nice.
Later this week. Yeah, it was dope. Any questions now that I'm an expert, now that I've seen them? And then this week, Juve is going to play, is it Bayern Munich?
I'll have a look.
At the Rose Bowl?
Let me have a look. Juventus. These clubs moving all around the place, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all over the world. So they're all over this country. It's tough to.
Barca plays Juve at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas tomorrow.
Okay.
What other games are coming up? There's Real Madrid Juventus. That is at the Rose Bowl on Sunday.
So I'm possibly.
Well, no. I think it's Saturday for you. Saturday. It says Sunday 3 a.m. for me. That'll be Saturday for you.
So I'm possibly going to that.
Nice.
And then on Friday, Bale's first home game for LAFC. So I'm definitely going to that. Me and Martin are definitely going to that.
Yeah. I saw he scored his first goal against Kansas.
Yeah.
The other night. It's a good finish as well. Good breakaway, good counter attack. And then he's got the ball and just low finish into the corner. Looked like he enjoyed it. Yeah,
he could have had two, but he chipped the keeper, but the ball went wide. So he could have had two. But yeah. So we'll see what that Gareth Bale will do on Friday.
That'd be nice if you get back-to-back games, LAFC followed by Real Juve.
Yeah, I know, because I didn't you put in your avails for the Comedy Store on Tuesday, and I didn't put any avails in for those 2 nights because I know I'm going for Friday. And then I'm hoping somebody might be able to get me tickets for the Real Juve, so I'm waiting for that. But I guess if their ticket doesn't come in last minute, I'll be paying some fee. For what?
At least it's not a 4. At least it's Pasadena. It's not a 4-hour drive this time.
No, it's not. It's not far. The beauty of the Vegas thing though was we didn't have to pay for the hotel. Like
nice.
It got comped, and also it's like $50 to park at the stadium. And Tropicana is one of the few hotels in Vegas. You used to be able to park at any hotel in Vegas that you stayed at for free.
Yeah, residence parking. Yeah.
Yeah, but now they started charging some of them, a lot of them. But Tropicana, you can park for free if you're staying there. So those 2 costs were eliminated. So we walked to the stadium and back. We didn't have to worry about getting our car out. We didn't have to Uber, so we saved money. So
nice.
It'll probably be $100 to park at the goddamn Rose Bowl, but we'll see what's up. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. You got any last words or rights or things you want to say?
No, just looking forward to the season. These games are getting me excited. I'm getting back in the mood for football again. It's it's going to come around quick as well with that early start because of the World Cup in the winter. So just hope everyone's ready because the season's going to be here before we know it.
And when is the Charity Shield?
Charity Shield might even be this weekend.
Yeah, it might be, right?
because we've got our final game. We're playing Monaco midweek, I think on Wednesday, and we're playing Villarreal on Saturday, and then that's our last 2 games. So yeah, I'm guessing. Let me have a look. Community Shield. Yeah, it's on Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, Liverpool City. That'll be interesting to see where they're both at. Haaland scored his first goal.
Yeah.
Against Bayern. It was a classic City goal. Low ball, cut back across the box from Grealish, and then just easy finish. I think he's going to get a lot of them this season.
Yeah, and Darwin Nunez scored his first 4 goals for Liverpool. So that'll be we're going to see, both those guys playing their first kind of Premier League game against each other. So that's like, if you want to start a rivalry between 2 players, it has an official date time of this Saturday. So that's pretty dope, because people are already putting them against each other, of the Messi and Ronaldo of this era for this league. So boom.
Also, quickly, shall I just put the fantasy football details out there?
Yeah.
Because we have a Soccer Comic Rant fantasy football or fantasy Premier League. So far, it only has me and Martin in it, 2 teams, because we haven't told anyone the league code yet. So it is active. So if anyone wants to join it, we can tweet this out as well. Let me see, invite people to join this league. The code. So for anyone listening who wants to join and who plays Fantasy Premier League via the Premier League app, it is I. So it's lowercase I, V, lowercase as well, 6, and then RBL. So RBL, all lowercase. So IV6 RBL. If you put that in as the league code, it will join you in. You can see how you fare against me and Martin. I think Neil's going to put a team in. We might be able to bully Ian into putting a team in, but you don't want the admin. You don't want the admin, do you?
Yeah, I mean, you run it. That doesn't mean I'm running. I can't run it.
Oh no. There's no admin involved in running it. I mean, the admin are picking your team every week to make the transfers and see who's playing who. And
that's gonna be tough. Let me at least try. Like if it gets complicated, I'll just finish last.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be someone worse. Martin will probably load up on Spurs players and tank. So, but it'd be good to get some people in there. We can have a look each week who's doing well, who's doing bad. So it'll be fun. Well, it'll be fun for the first few weeks anyway, until someone decides to like run away with it or something.
Hilarious. It ain't gonna be me. Tell you that.
Who knows?
I do. There's no way. But yeah, guys. And then I send the information to me, and I could tweet it out too. And then I kind of low key started a Soccer Comic Rant TikTok, and that's exactly what it says. Just to try to get more people from TikTok to like get to the podcast. So let me know if you want to post anything on there, Lee, and I'm gonna try to like come up with stuff to put on there, and then we might just start a Twitter too. So just to like have an extra outlet to post the actual podcast. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks for joining, and good shit as usual. Thank you, Aaron Brungardt. Thank you, everybody who's watching and listening. Like and subscribe, like we said before. We appreciate y'all. Take care of each other. And this shit is about to go down. It's getting exciting. Charity Shield is this weekend. That means you know what happens the week after. The league is gonna start. Man, it's on. Peace, y'all. One.